I often have people ask me, what are good sources of protein on the low FODMAP diet if you're vegetarian? So many patients think that the low FODMAP diet is not possible if you're vegan or vegetarian. Well, it is more challenging. Oftentimes, I recommend working with a registered dietitian to make sure that you're actually getting the nutrition you need. And as a reminder, the low FODMAP diet is not a long-term diet. It's a therapeutic diet meant for short-term, and reintroduction is critical. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Andrea Hardy. I'm a registered dietitian and owner of Ignite Nutrition here in Calgary, Alberta. We help people get their guts feeling as good as possible, and we take a holistic 360 approach to health and wellness, looking at all aspects of health, not just diet. Today, we're going to be talking about vegetarian sources of protein on the low FODMAP diet. Because I had one of our email subscribers ask, Andrea, I'm really struggling to get enough protein in on the low FODMAP diet. What should I be doing? My bloat is really bothering me and it's making it hard to get enough in. So a lot of times I often tailor the low FODMAP diet to my vegetarian and vegan patients based on their symptomology and what's going on. Because different FODMAPs have different impacts on the gut. Some are more fermentable, some pull water in. We can typically kind of tailor the diet as a more swap this for that, or sometimes even modify the low FODMAP diet so we don't need to be as restrictive. And as you know, FODMAPs play a really important role in gut health. So eliminating them and keeping them out long-term is just not good. Lack of a variety and a lack of fermentable carbohydrates can really impact gut health long-term. So we do want to reintroduce those things to make sure that we're keeping your gut as healthy as possible and to make sure that your symptoms don't actually get worse in the long run. So in terms of vegetarian sources of protein, there's a lot of good ones. So the first one being milk products. Now everyone looks at me and is like, Andrea, I can't eat lactose. What are you talking about? I can't have dairy. Well, the fact of the matter is it's the lactose sugar that is an issue in the low FODMAP diet. About 75 to 85% of people develop a lactose maldigestion or malabsorption issue in their lifetime. However, maldigestion does not necessarily mean intolerance. Some people might not break down that lactose sugar as well, but might not even notice a change in their bowels. Whereas people with IBS tend to notice that getting fermented and it may pull water into their guts and cause symptoms. So we want to choose dairy products that are low in lactose, less than 1 gram. That is the Monash cutoff, although I don't necessarily agree with it because we know from research, the evidence suggests that most people can tolerate up to 4 to 7 even grams in a sitting. So I usually stick to that 1 gram during the elimination phase, but keep in mind, if you have a little bit of more, it's probably not the end of the world. You can probably tolerate anywhere from 4 to 7 grams if you are lactose intolerant. So the first one is lactose-free milk. Getting lactate milk breaks down that lactose sugar, making it no longer high FODMAP. A cup of milk has about 9 grams of protein in it. And a lot of people don't drink milk, which is totally fine, but there's no reason why we can't make our oatmeal with it or use it in recipes or have a latte with lactose-free milk. And so that's a good way to get in some protein. Lactose-free yogurt is another good one, or yogurt with live bacterial cultures that is going to help to break down the lactose is also one, depending on the level of lactose intolerance you might have. I really like skyr yogurt from Superstore. That one's really good. A lot of times we'll use other different types of yogurt. I'm a big fan of Activia, as you guys know. I work with them, and because of the live bacteria in the yogurt, it helps to break down the lactose so that it's no longer a problem. And it activates in your gut, so it actually helps to break down the lactose in your gut. Other things that I like are just, general lactose-free yogurts. There's a lot on the market now. Activia makes a good lactose-free one as well. Lactose-free cottage cheese. If you're into cottage cheese, that's a good option. and hard cheeses, about 1 to 2-ish ounces. You can always check on the Monash app, or I like to say 1 to 2 ounces of hard cheese is fine. So that covers us for dairy. So that's good for vegetarians. And other sources of protein would be things like eggs. Sometimes my patients are pesco-vegetarian, meaning they'll eat fish, so that's an option. I really like edamame. I add that to my stir fries. I eat it as a snack. So you can use that as a protein booster. And edamame is, young soybeans, and they're tasty with a little bit of salt on top. And they make for a really easy snack. You can buy them in pouches that are microwavable too, so super convenient. Other good sources. So our whole grains are actually really good sources of protein. And there's a lot of whole grains you can have on a low FODMAP diet. Ones that I like are buckwheat groats. If you haven't had them before, they have a really nice kind of barley-like consistency, but they are low FODMAP, up to 3/4 of a cup. Quinoa is another super popular one, super easy to make, super easy to freeze. That's a good source of protein. Other things that are a good source of protein include our vegetarian or plant-based sources of protein. So that would be like our firm tofu or tempeh. That can count, as well as our pulses. So certain types of pulses are low FODMAP, and you can actually do up to 1/2 cup of canned, rinsed, and drained lentils in a sitting, or 1/4 cup of canned, rinsed, drained chickpeas in a sitting. A lot of people don't realize they can still have pulses on the low FODMAP diet. They just have to be canned, because the canning process breaks down the FODMAPs. The FODMAPs leach into the liquid, and then you drain that off and rinse it really well. And it helps to reduce the FODMAPs. So a lot of my patients still make their own hummus. It's really hard to find a garlic-free hummus here in Calgary. So making your own hummus freezes well. Quality kind of goes down after a month, so you want to eat it fairly quickly. And then nuts and seeds. So the FODMAP content of nuts and seeds vary, but as a general rule, our basic ones are fairly safe. So our peanuts and peanut butter, as well as seeds. Seeds tend to be lower in FODMAP. So hemp hearts are a good addition to smoothies. Chia, flax, they're not as high in protein, but they're still an option. And then we tend to do a lot of peanut butter, walnuts, pecans, almonds, up to 20 in a sitting. So that covers us for that. I think that covers us from my list. I had to write it all down, so I didn't skip a category, but those are some really good low FODMAP sources of proteins. Now, if you're still struggling with bloat despite trying the low FODMAP diet, a lot of times FODMAPs and IBS needs a lot of finesse and needs a lot of support in terms of making sure that we really tailor the recommendations to your symptoms and what's going on in your guts. And there's a lot of moving parts. A lot of people assume that nutrition is the cause and the solution to all their problems. But that's just not the answer. That's why we take a really 360 approach to managing IBS here at Ignite, because we know that food is what we actually call kind of a Band-Aid solution. It helps to manage symptoms. It may help to improve gut health long-term, but there's so many other pieces that we can't ignore and we have to look at. So we practice on the 4 pillars of gut health. So nutrition management, medication management. We always say food first, medication second. Unless you have really severe IBS, then we might pull it in earlier so that you feel better sooner. Stress management is a huge one that we talk a lot about. And then gut health, or the gut microbiota. So those are our 4 pillars that we practice on. And I am going to post some information below. If you guys have any questions, ask them now. I know there's a couple of you guys hanging out here, so feel free to ask your questions. I will answer them. And we took the summer off of Ask a Dietitian Live, but we will be hosting this regularly, usually every Monday, but sometimes it might be moved or changed based on my schedule. And we will be answering all of your questions, even ones that aren't gut health related. So please ask us your nutrition questions, shoot us an email, and we will do our best to answer them. As you guys know, I am currently working with Activia on a back to school post. So I'm going to post that below as well, because we're talking about gut health this fall and how we can take take care of our gut health this back to school season. So I want to share that with you guys as well, because I've had so many calls lately, people asking, I'm getting back into the swing of things. September is like a new start for me. So what do I got to do to take care of my gut health? So we're going to start with this. And as we go along, I'm going to give you a lot of other great information over the weeks. You can always contact us at info@ignitenutrition.ca, and I will see you all next Ask a Dietitian Live. Bye.